Okay, this isn't going to take very long, but I'm going to walk you through the steps just so that you can see it. I have the completed leg or end piece right here. The top board is 9 1/4 inches. The overall length is 36 inches. So the way you do this out of 2x4s is you take one 2x4 and you place it on the bottom, and you cut this one 36 inches long, the same length as the finished leg. Now you can see that we're still a little gap here. You're going to be approximately a 1/4 inch, that's a 1/4 inch short of being the full thickness, and that's just due to the way that the lumber is cut and the actual sizes. So you have a choice here. You can either stay a little bit short, or you can move in and pick up a piece of 1x4, and then that would laminate in like this, and now you're going to be a little bit thicker, but that's okay. That's just a little bit more meat to work with. So you could, this is how you would double up, or actually you're not doubling, but this is how you would make the main 2x4 a little bit thicker to account for the loss, and then you would cut the next 2x4 at 26 3/4 inches. So when you take the 26 3/4 inch 2x4 and you put it on top like this, you're going to have a 3-board stack. But your step is going to be in just the right place right here to hold your 2x10. So this is how you would glue and then screw all these 3 together to make a composite leg, a layered leg. And then you can continue on with the project the same with the 2x10 into this notch, just like we did here onto the 4x4. So this is going to be a little bit beefier. It doesn't have the requirement of clearing out the wood on the 4x4, but it does cause you some more work with more gluing and more screwing, because you really do want to glue and compress this and screw this into one solid structure. You need the strength. So you can make it about a 1/4 inch thicker by going with a liner or a filler board, or you can go about a little bit shallower like that without. So the choice is yours, but either way you're going to get the step that your 2x10 fits into, and you'll have a strong leg. So I've explained how to do that. If you have any questions, I suppose you can put it down in the comments below. But I think it's pretty straightforward and self-explanatory. You're just building a new leg out of pieces to make up the difference. You're making the main leg thicker for the strength, and then you're adding the second piece of 2x4 here, cut to the correct length, and everything glued and screwed together to make your leg. Okay, let's keep moving on. Now next, we're going to go through the side pieces. Now the side pieces are 24 inches long, 10 inches high, and 2 inches thick. That's the nominal anyway. We're actually 24 inches long, 1.5 inches thick, and 9 3/4 inches high. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the 1x2 that I told you needed 2 of, and the reason you need 2 of them is you're going to split them down the middle. Now you could leave them full and have a much thicker base for yourself to sit on, but I think that that's really too much because we're going to be gluing and screwing that in. So I cut it down the middle, and you're going to wind up with one piece that's 1 inch by 3/4 inch, and you're going to end up with another piece that's actually smaller than that. So what I did is just took mine and cut them 24 inches long, and I cut them they're 3/4 inch because they're nominal 1 inch, and I cut them at 1 inch wide. So these are just going to be butted up flat to the bottom edge and square on the ends, and that is going to make our ledge that the floor pieces will just drop in and sit on like that. So let me get the gluing equipment and everything set up, and we'll get these sides with the bases glued and screwed together and let them sit, and then we'll be getting close to the end here actually. Well, who says you can't teach old dogs new tricks? I've taken a cue from the last time I glued things up and made things a little better. My work is now supported off of the table. I still have my mat underneath to catch the glue, but what I've done this time is I have clamped the shelf, or the bottom piece here, to the side piece. I've used a square. I've made sure that they're in square, and I made sure that they're straight in line. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to use shorter screws. Now I know my list says to use 3 inch, but I went back and I've got some 1 1/2 inch, same size, number 10s, and same manufacturer. But what I'm going to do is, because this small piece is so small, I'm afraid I'm going to split it when I run the screw through, even though these are self-drilling screws. So what I have here is a countersink, a pilot drill and countersink, and what we're going to do is we're going to drill a hole that's smaller than the threads, but the same depth as the threads. So I know at the countersink, when this countersink touches, that I'm going to be deep enough, and then that hole is going to prevent the splitting of this piece when it goes in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put several screws in, ready to go, and that'll keep things lined up so that when I do put the glue on it, then I can just run the screws in real quick, and that'll hold everything together in addition to the clamps and keep everything lined up. So I just run the bill tight, and I'll come back in. Oh, how far should we come in here? About 1 inch maybe. And let's see, 1 inch puts it right there. And that's almost centered, like that. Okay, so we're going to come in 1 inch on this side. Keep it centered. And this is just for appearance, actually. Doesn't have to be dead perfect. And let's see, should we put one down the middle? 24 means we're 12. And so that means 12 inches. Puts me right here. And keep that centered. I'll move this clamp. Okay, so the 3 screws is going to keep everything lined up as I glue. So let me get some glue. I will take this apart. And we will proceed to put some white glue on here, screw this together, and move over and do the other assembly. Now I'm going to keep this oriented in the same direction, because if I flip this end for end it would be close, but the screws would not line up because of the inaccuracies of just measuring it the way I did. So we're going to go like this, and I'm going to turn it face down so that I can know exactly how to orient that. Okay, so I've taken the few minutes, I've made sure everything's laid out. My 3 screws are right here. The proper driver is in the drill gun. So I'm just going to put some glue on these pieces. And I've already laid out my pencil line on the 2x10 so that I can know exactly where I need to glue to and where is not going to need glue. I'm not going to use quite as much glue as I did yesterday. I'm going to be putting more screws in here. The screws are going to take the shear load. Shear load is the slippage between 2 surfaces as they go past each other like that. So the shear load is going to be picked up by the screws and the glue will help a lot. But I'm going to put extra screws in here just to make sure that nothing moves. This is going to be holding the bottom of our forge. It would not be a good thing if we're in the middle of a forging project and the bottom of the forge falls out. That just would not be a good thing to do. So now that I've got a nice layer of glue on here, my orientation is still good. I know where everything goes, so I'm going to put more glue down here. And again, this is just Tight Bond number 2. It's their regular indoor glue. Basically it's weather resistant, and we're not going to be using this forge out in the rain, so that should probably be enough. And then it's also going to get painted, so even though these screws are also indoor rated screws, not outdoor, that's going to be perfectly fine. Again, we're not going to be leaving this outside. It's not going to be taking the weather. It's not going to be like a deck or a patio on the back of your house where it needs to stay dry all the time. So I can take this, I rotate it over like that. I just need to get it somewhere close because the screw is already going to line me up. And there's the hole. And that one's in. Come to the other side. Torque it down, and the middle one should be fine. Now, you can tighten this one up. Whenever you put in screws, you need to leave them a little loose so that you can adjust back and forth. So that's in. I'm going to add 4 more screws. So I put the countersink back on, and I could eyeball this and it would probably be just fine. 4 inches and 8 inches, because that's a 12 inch, so 4 inch there and 8 inch goes there. And might as well mark this at the same time. And I've got from the screw 4 and 8. That's close enough. Keeping it centered. Okay, so I need to tighten my chuck a little bit more next time. But that'll just pull straight out. The work's already been done. Alright, put my driver bit back in. Insert those 4 more screws. And we're good. Set it aside and take care of the other one. There we go. I'm going to let that glue tack up just a little bit, then I'm going to come in there with a dull knife like an edge of a screwdriver, and I'll just scrape it out after it's tacky. That way you don't smear it everywhere. And I'll get done with the other piece and we'll be ready to go to the next step.